Hi everyone, and welcome back to my series where we're talking to my favourite people in the world of trampoline, tumbling and double mini. I'm going to continue with the DMT Great Britain team who won a silver medal at the World Championships in Japan in 2019. And the last of the team I'm welcoming today is the World and European Silver Team Medalist, the World and World Games Finalist, and the current European Champion, Kirsty Way. Hi Kirsty.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
Have you enjoyed your day? You said you were out and about.
I've been at the beach today, Simon, and it was very lovely, thank you.
Is that what you've been doing during lockdown? Because you live quite near the beach, don't you?
Yeah, I'm like 10 minutes away. So yeah, other than uni work, I've just been at the beach. It's been quite nice.
Have you wrapped up uni? Is that it all done for the year?
Yep, finished on Thursday. So I'm free.
Are you fully rehabbed now after your operation stuff? Are you able to enjoy lockdown?
No, I'm still not even allowed to run yet, which, arguably could be a good thing because I don't really want to spend my lockdown going on runs.
Oh.
But no, I'm still rehabbing it. Yeah, it's taking its time.
But are you able to enjoy the beach and stuff?
Yeah. My physio actually said to me yesterday, she said, going on the rocks at the beach is actually good for your ankles, so I need to go more. I was like, okay, I can do that.
You're the one who's going to come out of lockdown with a full tan. Everyone else is pale.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to get into some of the questions here because, like I said about everyone else, it's nice to know the journeys. Each team member has had such different journeys in the sports, and I think it's really interesting. So I'd just like to hear everything about your journey and anything you want to tell us. So let's start off at the very, very beginning. How did you start trampoline gymnastics or gymnastics in general?
So gymnastics in general, I started, I think, when I was like 5, and I am a horrendous gymnast. Honestly, anyone that knows me, I can't even do a backward roll. So yeah, gymnastics is not my thing, like artistic gymnastics. And then my sister, who's 4 years older than me, started trampolining just at the local leisure centre. And I remember my mum saying to me once, she was like, Kirsty, do you want to join? And I was like, no, not really. And then I finally went, and we started there, and I was around 7, I think.
Was that a club or was that just in a sports centre?
So it was just in a sports centre, and then I went for about 4 weeks, and I got talent scouted, shall we say, and they basically said, you're a natural and so's your sister, go to this other club, which trained in the same centre, but it was a recreational club.
Okay.
So that was in Dorchester, and then it moved up to Weymouth, which is just down the road, and yeah, started up there. Who
were your coaches at the beginning?
So right at the beginning, the recreational club, the leisure centre club, I have no idea. But then I moved to the Wessex Flyers, which is the club that I got recommended to. And it started off with a lady called Lynn, but over time, do you know Aaron Wake?
Yeah, I know Aaron, yeah.
So they hired Aaron to come and coach us. And so I had Aaron for quite a few years, probably about 5 years. And then when he moved away, it was then that I went to Olga.
Was that the same time then as he coached the Dallards, like Sapphire and Jasper? Yeah. Was that the same club?
No, so the Dallards went to Renaissance, which was up in Poole, which is about 40 minutes away from us. But every time Aaron came down to train and coach me and the rest of the club, they'd bring Sapphire and Jasper with them. So Saf and Jasper actually came and trained with us, even though we were just this tiny little club, but it meant that they got more training hours in. So that's how I know them.
Did you show much promise at the beginning then, when you first went to this, when you first moved up to coach by Lynn and by Aaron? Did you show much promise, or were you a slow burner?
I can't really remember. I know I didn't, all I could do was tuck jumps and seat drops, I think, when I first went to Lynn and the Wessex Flyers, the club. And then when Aaron arrived, I was probably doing single somersaults, but I remember him teaching me how to full and how to Rudy and double back. So he got me kind of going.
And at that point, were you dancing at that point, or did it interfere with your dancing?
Oh, my God, dancing.
Yeah.
I did. So when I was at this club with Aaron, he basically said, "Oh, have you ever heard of DMT?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "I think you'd be really good at it." So he said, "Do you want to start it?" And I like sat down with my mum and we were debating it. And she goes, "Well, you'd have to give up ballroom dancing." And this was a tough decision, honestly, Simon. You don't understand. But I was like, "Oh, why not? I'll just start DMT." And thank God I did.
Was dancing a serious thing? Because I know we joke about it, but was dancing a serious thing for you?
Not really. I did it at school, and then I competed with the school, and I was going to start taking it a bit more seriously. But I could still do it now. But nah, it wasn't that serious.
I've seen some of your salsa moves, and I've seen you. Yeah, I've seen it in action.
Yeah.
And so when you were training, was it mostly trampoline and then a little bit of double mini, or did you do kind of half and half?
Yeah, so when I was still at Wessex Flyers, it was mainly trampoline. I was only training twice a week when I was there anyway. And I think a Saturday afternoon, we'd get the mini out for about an hour and I would do that. So it wasn't until I moved to Olga that we did it a lot more.
And were you competing when you were in Wessex as well?
Yes, I was. So I did trampolining and I got to Nat C when I was at Wessex. And then I did DMT, and I remember doing my first ever national finals. So that's what it was called back then, wasn't it? It wasn't even British. And I competed whilst for Wessex Flyers, and I made a final. I remember it.
Because I was looking back over results, and I was finding it hard to find where you kind of started, because the results only go back so far.
Yeah.
So that must have been quite early.
That was 2010.
Yeah, okay. Because I could only find back to 2012. And I just couldn't see your name anywhere, and I was probably looking for Olga, which is a problem. So, yes. Why did the move to Olga happen? What happened there?
So it was because Aaron was moving to Australia, and there was me and Orla were both kind of getting to a higher level at this point, too high for the Wessex Flyers to carry on coaching us. So he said, I'm moving to Olga for a little bit before I moved to Australia. Why don't you come with us? So we went, and thank goodness I did.
And did you get a bit more serious about it all then?
Yeah. So it all got a bit more serious. I got Sharon as my trampoline coach, and obviously Sharon is queen of British gymnastics. And then I had Katrina Bailey as my DMT coach after Aaron left, and it all got a lot more serious.
So what year did you move to Olga?
2012.
2012, okay. Because after that, then I was looking at British kind of British results and stuff like that, and you were quite prominent on the trampoline results. And what did you focus more on then, in terms of your personal preference and your personal goals? Was it more trampoline and double mini?
Yeah. So I did a lot more trampolining. I did 5 days a week of trampoline and only 2 days a week of DMT to begin with, and I hated DMT. I remember this. I remember sitting in school and thinking, "Oh, I've got DMT tonight."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I think I just went through this phase where I wasn't enjoying it as much, and I loved trampoline, and that for some reason, I cannot remember why, I just didn't enjoy DMT, and I have no idea when that changed.
Because I remember looking at 2013 British, you have no DMT in any of the results, so you must have stopped competing at British Championships maybe after DMT.
In 2013? I don't know, maybe I didn't make it. No, I did do 2013. That was when it was at the other Birmingham venue, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
because I would have moved up to over 15, and I hit the side frame, so I was well down the list.
Oh, really? Okay. I think I was looking at under 15s. I thought you were closer to Ryan's age, because he was 11, 12 at the time. No. So you were more successful in trampoline at that stage? Yeah.
So I remember Sharon really pushing me. She really wanted me to make the world age team for trampoline. But I don't know, I never really saw it. And I don't think many other people did. Sharon just had like a lot of faith in me, which was really good.
It's what you need.
Yeah, she was certain I was going to be the next big thing, because as much as I wasn't the prettiest in the air, I had a lot of tariff and difficulty. So she thought if we just got me big moves, I'd be absolutely fine. But no.
I remember seeing you, I think I won a British Championships on trampoline, and I was quite impressed, because I knew you mostly as a DMT gymnast at that stage.
Thank you very much, Simon.
So when did the hatred of DMT end?
I actually have no idea. Probably when I started getting good at it.
You what, sorry?
Probably when I started getting good at it, which is a bit bad. I know it was probably around the end of 2013, so it didn't last very long, but I got there in the end.
When did you give up trampoline then?
So I remember 2015 was when I did my first senior DMT, and we were gonna try and do junior world age.
Okay.
For tramp, so I was gonna try and go out for 2 weeks in Denmark, but I didn't make it. I was nowhere near making it for the trampoline, and then it was in the start of 2016, or maybe after the spring series in 2016, that I was like, nah, I'm done.
But do you still train trampoline for double mini?
Occasionally, yeah. Tom and Sharon used to make me do, and still do, like my passes on the trampoline. And then I used to do the uni competitions, although I didn't really train for them on the trampoline. I usually just rock up, but yeah, I do it every now and then.
So then, end of 2013, you say maybe the hatred stopped a bit. And then 2014, I'm not sure if people know, but we changed the structure of DMT and everything in Great Britain. And Toby Eager became the national coach for DMT. Yeah. And he started the kind of new national squad in Lilleshall. Do you remember like having that discussion with Katrina that you were going to go and trial? Was that a target, or did we just told you were going?
To be honest, I didn't even know competing for Great Britain was really a thing. I knew that Sapphire used to leave to go to World Championships, but it didn't really occur to me that I could do that too. Right. Yeah, I don't know why. And then one day, Katrina and Sharon came up to me and Orla and were like, "Yeah, you two are going to trial for Europeans." And we were like, "Okay, sure, why not?" And we rocked up. And I remember being in the car, and we were just kind of dressed all casually. And Sharon was like, "Where are your trainers, girls?" And we thought, what? Why would we need trainers? What? And we'd rocked up to this like Lilleshall, this training camp, and we'd had no trainers, no like gym wear. We just kind of come for the day, We had no idea. Yeah, just having a nice leisurely stroll up into Lilleshall.
So, okay, because that was the open trial in February there was a call out to Great Britain basically saying, do you think anyone is good enough to make a squad? But you were just rocking up thinking this is just a bit of a fun for the day in the park.
Yeah, well, I knew I was going to compete, and I had an idea what I was going to do. I wasn't obviously oblivious to the fact I would be competing at Europeans, but I don't think it clicked how serious it was, and I didn't think I was going to do very well or anything. It just took it as it came,
So it wasn't really a big deal. It was.
Nah.
And you were part of that original kind of Olga troupe who were in the original thing. How many of you was there?
So it was me, for the DMT, it was me, Lucy Ramsdale and Orla, and we made up the junior Europeans team, as well as Caitlin Tarrant from London.
Edgebar, yeah.
Edgebar, yeah.
And also you obviously had Sapphire as well, and Jasper.
Oh gosh, yeah, Saf and Jasper, who were, Jasper was junior boy, Saf was senior woman. We also had a guy called Jack who was trialling but didn't make the team. So yeah, there was loads of us.
And were you aware at the time that Sapphire was World Age Champion?
Yeah, I remember when she won it in Birmingham, and she came back because I was at Wessex at the time, I think. And we were just like, woohoo! Yes, I knew. I didn't think I really realised what it meant, but yeah.
And did you ever think that that's something that you wanted to do, or that you could do?
Not at all. Didn't even know it was a possibility.
Just kind of going along and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I think that's what I do with most things in life.
Go where people tell you to go, do what people tell you to do, and just be a good child.
Exactly.
So then, Europeans 2014, did you expect to be selected? Did you think, well, after that trial or after the first kind of camps that we did you think, oh, I think I could make this team?
I think I must have done. I think I probably just assumed that because I went to the trial, I would then be going to Europeans. I think I might have won the trial.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think you stopped everything. You were the August stick. Well, we used to call it the August stick because you used to stick, arms went up really quickly, and then just stayed there.
Yeah, I would never move. I was always quite good at sticking.
Yeah. So like I vividly remember that from the thing. So then when you got selected, can you remember that moment? Was it a bit of elation, euphoria, or was it just like, oh, cool?
I honestly don't remember. I was probably just like, oh, cool. I get some cool kit. Like, I don't remember at all.
Okay, so can you remember then, because obviously it was in Portugal, in Guimarães, I think it's pronounced. Did you feel, when you got there, did it feel that at that point, okay, you've kind of just gone along, done what everyone's told you to do, and then at that point, did you feel the gravity of the event? Did it feel like a big event? Because it would have been your first international, right?
Yeah, it was my first international. I think it then hit, and I got there and I saw the other countries, and I was looking at the arena like, whoa, this is cool.
Was that your first time without your personal coach? Which would have been Katrina Bailey at the time, but...
Yeah, but the thing is, I've never really had the true experience of no personal coach, because I always had Sharon. And so Sharon was obviously my tramp coach, but she was there as the team leader. So I always had Sharon, and then Katrina came out to watch. So it didn't feel much different to me.
Did you know Toby and Phil well at that stage?
No. I met them at the trial and then the camps beforehand, and that was it. I didn't know them at all.
Little did you know they'd become such a big part of your life. Well, definitely Phil anyway.
Can't get rid of Phil now.
I know. Can you remember how the competition went?
Yeah, so I remember I made the final. I don't remember making the final, but I remember before competing in the final, Toby turns to me and goes, yeah, your fourth pass isn't good enough, you know, I want a higher tariff, because it was straight back half up pike at the time. So I remember in the warm-up for the compete, he was like, do full half out pike. I was like, okay, and I know that's not a big transition now, but back then I was like, cool, new pass. And I did it, and then I stuck it, and I came sixth.
Yeah, I remember it came sixth. Do you remember the team final as well?
Yes, I remember.
Was that very different? How did that feel? Because that would have been a completely new situation for you.
Yeah, so I remember that because it was Lucy and Caitlin who went out first, and me and Orla were still in the back, and we just heard this thud, and it turned out it was Lucy Ramsdale who'd crashed. Yeah, and then me and Orla just looked at each other like, oh, I think that means we have to perform, because we didn't really understand what was going on. But I think Phil just turned to us and goes, yes, girls, you need to land this.
Talk about pressure, Phil.
Yeah, and as usual, I'm up last, but it went well and we came third. So I had my first little international medal.
Did that feel amazing being on that podium? Did that feel like, oh, I think I could be quite good at double mini now?
I still don't think it clicked that I could be any good, but I felt good because we did all the poses with the medals after, and I was in my element. So that was what I was excited about. Can
you remember, did training change after that? Like, did it become a little bit more serious? Because you've done a Europeans, you've made 2 finals, got a medal. Did it come a little bit more serious then?
I think, yeah. At that point, I realised, oh, this is actually serious. I think that then Sharon started getting a bit more involved and not just focusing on trampoline. She started helping Katrina out with the DMT and disciplining me a bit better to get myself ready to then trial for Worlds later that year.
Because you went on then, I think in the summer that year, you had got your first international win, and you won the Lule Cup.
Oh my goodness, and that was with you as the coach.
Yeah, I was on the floor with you, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so I knew at that point, I remember in my head now, I knew at that point I was quite good at the sport-ish, and I knew that I could medal. I didn't think I could win, but yeah. I think looking at the other girls, I was like, oh, I do that. Oh wait, no, I actually do more than that. Maybe I am okay at this.
So I remember your reaction when you won, and it was a big reaction. And sometimes, you know, the big internationals, obviously, you have massive reactions, and the small internationals, sometimes people can just take them in their stride. But I remember it was quite a big reaction for you. Did you feel that was a big deal for you? Yeah, I think it just kind of amazed me. And I saw my name at the top, and I just looked at you and Gail like, what? Like, that's amazing. Yeah, I remember it was quite a good moment. And then you went down to British, and you came third. And you qualified for the World Age. British has never been my friend. Let's just put it that way. I think it was at that point, 2014, when I started realising
I'm actually, like I said, I'm okay at this sport. I could actually win this. And I never won it. I would always crash. And that was the year I landed back on the mount in my spotter. And then shortly after that, spotters were completely removed from my skill set.
That was the year as well that we had like 6 passes in the British, and all 6 passes added towards your final total. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so I messed up pass 2, landed back on the spotter, and that was me done.
No return from that. You still came third.
Yeah, I seem to do that quite often. I'd crash but still come away with a medal, and then I remember just getting my medal like, I don't deserve this.
So at that point, did you think I've messed up Worlds? I'm not going to Worlds?
Probably did, yeah. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure Katrina would always be like, you don't know that, like keep your head up and all of this, and I'm like, okay, if you say so.
Okay, whatever, Katrina, I'm not going.
Yeah, just listen to you, and if you must be right, I don't know.
So you qualified and you went. It was in Daytona that year.
Yeah.
Did it feel different to Euros? Did it feel bigger?
Yeah, it felt a lot bigger, and I think, like I said, I knew at this point that I understood what was going on, and I knew that I was like there for a reason. And it was a bigger team. You have all the world age kids, and it was a bigger deal.
Was it more fun because there was more people there?
Yeah, it was fun. Well, I remember it was fun and it wasn't, because at the time there was like this rivalry between the junior girls and the junior boys DMT team.
Really?
It wasn't a rivalry, but because it was like Dan Sale, Ben Atkins, and I think we were still going through the phase of like, ooh, boys. And, I know, and like Ben was always so horrible to me, and Ollie Paradise didn't make it any better. But looking back on it,
Ali Paris is still on the team, so he's going to have to answer a few questions next time you have to cross.
Well, I've made him suffer for the last however many years, but now we're best friends, so.
That's good. Okay, that's good. So did you have more expectation on yourself? So you've come off making the European individual final. You've won Lule Cup. Can you remember having a target in your head for your own performance?
No, I don't know. I think I don't know what day I competed, but I think other people had been making finals on the days before me, and I thought, oh, that looks quite cool. I want to do that. So I think I wanted to final.
And do you remember where you came?
6th. I was cursed with 6th for a very long time.
And did you feel content with that, or was it disappointing, or were you happy enough?
No, I was very happy. I stuck I think I stuck all 4 of my passes. So I couldn't really complain. I remember at the time, I think it was Paige Howard was doing a full or something, and I'm there with my half-out double back. So I was very content with 6th place.
Happy to be in the final.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so you come back from those World Championships, and you have to deal with a change of coach. So obviously, Katrina, she gave up coaching at that point. She decided to retire, and you've moved on to the newbie, fresh face, Tom Holman.
Yeah. Well, not quite. I had Sharon for a very long time. Well, I say it felt like a long time because we didn't have Tom.
Really?
Yeah, so I knew Tom very briefly from a coaching course that I'd been on earlier in the year or something. And suddenly I remember Sharon started coaching us as soon as Katrina left. And then I was like, oh, hey, look, there's a new guy over there, but I know him. And he was coaching men's artistic. So I occasionally,
really?
Yeah, he was coaching.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was coaching the young boys. And I remember like occasionally Sharon would send us over to do conditioning. So I'd end up chatting to Tom, classic. And then he became my DMT coach. And yeah, now look at us.
Was it a really easy transition?
Yeah, so easy. I think Tom was a bit nervous at first. And there was a big group of us. Obviously, he had Saf and Jasper, who were the big dogs. So it
was a big step up, probably, because he had come from coaching by NDP level to all of a sudden, here's a load of national team members. Go.
Yeah, and I think he's just like, when he thinks back to it now, he's still like, how did I manage that? But he did fine. He did very well.
Managed it. He managed it quite well. Yeah. So at the beginning of 2015, you're finished 15-16. You've moved up in age group. You could have gone senior, but you decided to stay 17-18. So what was the thinking there?
I don't really know. I think I'd never won a British, and wasn't sure what the situation was, and I think everyone kept saying to me, "You're good enough to make a senior team," but we stuck to 17 to 18. I have no idea why, but at this point, I think I was quite way ahead of the other girls in my age group.
Yeah.
So when we got to British, and I still didn't win because I never win British.
Where you finished?
No, I have no idea.
You finished 5th, but 5th was last.
But I still hit the world score for seniors, so.
So that's what I was thinking. Where did that come from? Because obviously you've never competed senior. You're not in the senior system. You're probably trialing. You were probably thinking trialing for 17, 18 world age.
Yeah.
So where did the senior thing come in? Can you remember that?
So I know I was thinking of 17 to 18, and people had been planting things in my head that you could potentially hit senior, and I didn't ever believe them. And suddenly I had a full straight, and I landed my other pass or something, and I managed to hit the 68 that I needed. And it was you, actually, that I'd finished the final, and you sat me down out the back, and bearing in mind, you weren't like a national team coach at this time and everything, and you just went, "Little birdie's told me you've made the senior team." And I was like, "Really?"
Because you had hit 68.7 in the prelims of I know you fell in the final, but you hit 68.7 in the prelims of that British. So like that's still a content. Like nowadays, that would still probably make a final at the World Championships.
Yeah, that was well above anything I'd ever hit. I think the transition for me from 2014 to 2015 was my biggest ever transition. I went from competing like a half out, half and half to half out full and full and half double whack.
I even remember at squads, whatever. I remember I heard you were prepping full fulls and saw you prepping them, and I remember thinking, she doesn't have the height to do that skill. Like she's barely ducking that under. What are they thinking? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you rocked up with this glorious full straight.
Yeah, that just reminds me of Reese Graves. He's obviously on the team as well. He used to train with me at Olga, and he since then has told me he used to never watch me because he was so scared of my half and halves. I always used to land on my face, and he was like, "I could watch you. It messed up my training."
But he is like that. He can't watch anything that's not.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So you've made senior team. Was that a big shock? Did you feel excited, or did you feel completely nervous? What was the reaction?
Oh, I was so happy. I couldn't believe it, and I found out on the way to training. So when I rocked up to training, I walked in like, "Oh yeah."
Right. I am now senior.
I'm a senior. Bow down to me, please.
I could imagine. So, but how did it feel? Because you get to Denmark. It's the World Championships. It's your first ever senior event. Like you hadn't even done a senior British. Like this was your first ever senior. Like anything, most people have done a senior British and then they go senior internationally. But you did it the opposite way around. You did a senior Worlds before you did a senior British.
Yeah.
Did it feel? Did you feel the enormity of the event? In
all honesty, I don't really think about these kind of things. I go where I'm told to and I compete. And I probably thought this is cool, but I don't think I felt any pressure. I knew I was the baby of the team. I had Nicole, who was so experienced, and she was the mum, and she just kind of was like, yeah, just do what you can and see what happens.
Can you remember your prelims?
Oh yeah, my prelims. I had Sharon tell me secretly beforehand. She was like, "Kirsty, you could final at this senior event," and I'm like, "Really?" And then I looked at the other girls and I saw the passes. I was like, "I'm doing the same, if not more, than these other senior women." But then I landed out the box in my second pass, and there was that dream gone.
Yeah, I think you came 19. But at a first senior event, to put down 2 passes is still quite impressive.
Yeah, and then I think I got one of the highest scores in the team final, or I don't know. So I was really happy with that, and obviously got the team silver. So
can you remember going into the team final? Because obviously, I'm not sure if you were aware, but it was more or less we needed 3 gymnasts to make a team, and obviously that's why you were brought up from 17, 18. they needed the third member. Obviously, you'd hit brilliant scores as well, but you were kind of there probably as the team member. You were there for the team final.
Yeah.
So going into team final, did you feel any pressure? Because you were first up.
Was I first up? Wow,
Yeah.
for once I wasn't last in the team final. No, I mean, the same level of pressure as I probably would feel now, because no matter how many people are in the team, you need to hit. And you've got 3 other people that are relying on you. So I just did what I needed to do. And I tried not to psych myself out or anything like that.
That's good. Can you remember the pass?
Half out, full straight. Classic.
Half out, pike, full straight, yeah. Yeah, and that I think that was your PB for one pass at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember. And it went, the full straight went up.
Up.
I remember talking to, I think, Kayvon afterwards, and he was like, Kirsty, I've never seen you actually look like you know what you're doing in a full straight. I was like, thanks.
Oh, wow. How rude.
Yeah, well, that's just Kayvon.
So you obviously all stuck, and you were up first, then staff, and last up was Nicole with all the experience, and you finished second. Did you know that was the first time, like that was historic for Great Britain?
No, I got team silver, and I was happy with it. I didn't think about anything else.
And was there any talk, because obviously you were very, very close to first, was there any talk about maybe being a little bit disappointed or anything?
Yeah, so looking back at the replay, we found that Canada actually landed out of the box, but they didn't find it on the judging at the time. So if they'd actually seen that she landed out of the box, we would have won.
Oh, did that take the kind of taint off the silver medal, or are you still happy?
I think for Nicole it probably did, because she was so desperate for a world gold, like, because she deserved one, and she was 0.1 away. And the fact that we technically won it, she was a bit annoyed, but secretly me and Saf were like.
I think it was the chair of the USA chair of the panel who come over and told you, I think, the next day. But I think we didn't even realise until we were told. So.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But after the medals are given, nothing can be changed. But still amazing performance and still an amazing medal. Did it feel bigger than the Europeans?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because junior Europeans just felt like a bit of fun to me, but this was the real deal. I could tell.
Okay, so then you've done 2015, you're going into 2016, and all of a sudden you're going to the European Championships, but you've lost Nicole Short because she's retired. You've lost Sapphire Dallard because she's injured, I think, wasn't she? So all of a sudden you were the senior member of the team. You went from being the baby only a few months earlier to being the senior member with Kira and Caitlin from Scotland. How did you deal with that?
I felt great. I remember, and I always feel like this now. I'm just like, yeah, this is my team. We're all here together and loving life, because we felt like equal. Because before I always felt like the baby, and now I'm there and I'm like, I know we're all good and we're all senior. And Caitlin and Kira were the same age as me, and it was good. I really enjoyed that competition.
Bit more of a sisterhood, probably, because and you were juniors together the year before, right? At what age? Yeah. Did you feel a sense of responsibility because you'd been there, you'd done it, telling them, you know, how the things are going to work and where to go and what to do? And
I don't know about telling them what to do, because Caitlin had already, and I think Kira had already done a world championship, so it's no different being senior, being junior, except we've got a lead by example. But at the same time, the junior team were only about 2 years younger than us, because it was Beth, so who's only 1 year younger. So we weren't like mums, we were all just equal, really.
But Kira and Caitlin would never have done a team final before. They only would have competed on one day, and they'd never done an individual final during that. So that year, Caitlin made individual finals, and you both were doing Europeans. And you're the only one on the team who had experience of that.
Well, you tell me this now. I don't realise this at the time.
You're looking back going, oh, wow.
Yeah. That was quite a team final, actually, because Caitlin and Kira went out first, and I was warming up out the back. And I get ready to march in, and I see Caitlin and Kira march out, and they're like, we're so sorry, Kirsty. And I was like, what? And then I didn't get time to figure out why, and I march out and see that we're in last place on the leaderboard. I'm like, oh dear. And it turned out Kira had hit the DMT with her hand or something, and Caitlin had landed somewhere bad. I was just like, oh dear, I've got some work to do here.
And obviously, in the European team final, there's 4 up and the top 3 scores count, but you only had 3, so you couldn't drop the score.
No, so I remember feeling the pressure for that one, because I can't remember who the coach was.
It would have been Phil and Tom.
Yeah, so I would have had Tom, and Tom being Tom would obviously tell me how it is and be like, yeah, you've got to hit this. I was like, okay, yes, I will.
He probably worked out what score you needed to hit.
Yeah, I wasn't into scores at that point. I didn't have a clue what really they meant. So he was like, do it and land it in the box and try and stick it. And I was like, yes, okay, I will.
So I suppose coming off that, when you marched out and you were in last, a bronze medal was amazing then.
I tell you what, I felt great. I felt amazing. And I was like, I did it. I bumped us up. And I wasn't afraid to tell it. And the girls were saying it to me too. They're like, that's because of you, Kirsty. And I was like, stop.
Thank you. So individually, it's probably not it's no disrespect to say you scraped into the final.
I can't remember.
You were in 11th after prelims, but because of the 2 per final rule, you got in.
I didn't know that.
Because
I wouldn't have known at the time.
Because 2 people per nation can only get in, other countries had more than 2 ahead of you. So then when they slipped out, you went up into the final.
Oh, wow. That was sneaky, wasn't it?
So did you have any expectations going into that final? Because this would have been your 3rd individual final, big international final, and you hadn't medalled yet. What was the expectation going into that one?
I have no idea. Maybe, I'm sure Tom would have told me I was potential of a medal. He must have done. But again, I was just there to land my passes. And then I remember I must have been first up, maybe?
Yeah, you were 8th going into the final, I think. Yeah, so you would have been first up.
So, and I remember I had that classic moment where you see your name at the top and then the next person goes and they're underneath you and they're underneath you. And it came around to the last few passes and I had that amazing moment where the person in 4th or whatever went below me and I'm like, I've medalled. And
that's an amazing feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, and at that point I didn't care what the colour was. I just knew that I'd medalled. I was amazed.
So that was your first individual international, like major international medal?
Yes, it was.
And did it feel much different to the team medals?
Yeah, it has a completely different meaning to it. The team medals are great, but the individual medals just feel amazing. So yeah, I really like that one.
So after 2016 Europeans, so after it, you've got university. So you decide to move away. Where did you move to?
So I moved to Bath, University of Bath, and I was at Team Bath Evolution was the club, and I had Pete Cracknell as my coach.
So you had to get used to another new coach.
Yes.
For the probably 5th or 6th time in your career. How did that work? Because obviously it wasn't just getting used to a new coach. You still had Tom at home.
Yeah. So I knew Pete anyway. It sounds a bit weird, but so Pete was on the senior team with me in 2015 in Denmark. And I loved Pete. I had this secret obsession with him. I was his #1 fan. And I always remember whenever he rocked up to squad, I'd be like, guys, it's Pete Cracknell. And he found it so uncomfortable, Pete being Pete. So I rocked up and I had to then be like, right, I'm not a fan, I'm his gymnast. I have to treat him like a human being.
Was it weird?
I don't remember it taking long for me to calm myself down and just accept the fact I was there to train. But in terms of Tom and Pete, they worked so well together. I think Pete was very wary of the fact that I was his first big gymnast, if that makes sense. So he was very willing to learn from Tom. I would think that's how he phrased it. And so he would do as he's told and he phrased it as he's always my cheerleader, whereas Tom is like the head coach. And whatever Tom wanted me to do, Pete would follow. Pete would put his own spin on things and do a lot of technical work with me. But he was mainly there to keep me happy and be my cheerleader.
So Tom set the plan, And Pete more or less delivered it when you were in.
Yeah, so it wasn't like today Kirsty has to do this in training. It was more, these are Kirsty's passes. This is what we're aiming to achieve. Go, do it. And Pete knew
Make it happen.
Yes.
What were the differences between them? Were they very different? Like in an actual training session?
I think the main difference was the training group. And so I went from Olga, where everyone's quite a high level, and they by this point they were all quite young, to then going to Bath, where there was just 3 of us, and they were all older, not all, but they were all at university pretty much, and it was just fun. And I remember Pete saying, "You're now their inspiration," and they all thrived. Within a year, they had all like kind of reached a similar level to me in terms of competition. Like Charlotte Mail then went senior British with me, and it was just incredible. And we had so much fun. We played loads of games and loads of random stuff, and it was just a completely different way of training. It was different, but I loved Olga and I loved Bath. I couldn't compare them.
Yeah, just so completely different.
Yeah.
Had you moved to Bath before the British Championships that year? The British Championships were in September.
So that was 2016. How did I do at that one? I would have crashed, so I can't remember.
Actually, it was the Olympic year, so the British Championships were in July, so you wouldn't have moved at that stage. But you were going in as the favourite, probably. I know Saf was back from injury or whatever, but you and Saf would have been the 2 favourites at that competition. What happened? Do you remember?
2016. Would that be the one where I fell on my face?
The Rudy at Matt one?
Oh, the Rudy at Matt one! Brilliant. So that was my 4th pass, and I think all I had to do was land it, I think, and I would have won. And I decided that surfing down the mount would be a good idea. So I landed my Rudy out mount and just went down the mount.
I think you and Tom knew you were coming short, so got the mat under you.
Yeah, so I went mat surfing.
You went down the mat on the mat like a surfboard.
Yeah.
Was that disappointing? How did that feel?
I was gutted. That was the 3rd year in a row that I'd crashed at British, and I was just like, and I didn't mind because Sapphire, it was so close between me and Sapphire at this point. I remember. So she was so worthy of winning. But you can imagine I was just so annoyed. And there's always that bit of rivalry. As much as we were like best friends, we trained together, and we wanted to beat each other. There's no doubt about it. But she won, so.
Happy days. So going into 2017, it was obviously World Games year.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the big goal of yours, or were you?
Yeah.
And how sure were you? Like, were you thinking, "I hope I make World Games," or was your attitude, "That space is mine"?
Well, Sapphire had quit by this point, so I knew I was technically top. I don't like to say it, but I was. I know Beth said it the other day in her interview. She was like, "Yeah, it was Kirsty's spot." So I knew it was mine. Could have been mine, but I was also really ill at that time. University made me ill. So I should say that. So,
okay. Enough said.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was weak because I was so ill, and everything was just playing against me, and I don't know. Something just happened, and I lost all faith. And I remember at Spring Series 1, the first trial, I ended up doing a straddle jump dismount, and I was like, "It's done. That's like, you can't win and go to World Games if you've done a straddle jump. Like, there's no chance."
Because it's only 2 trials and it was only 1 spot. Did you feel that extra pressure for every single pass?
Yeah, and I'd gone through, because I was ill and that I didn't have my full at this point. So I had downgraded passes. And then when I did that straddle jump, I remember having this pep talk with Sharon and Tom, and where Tom's normally like, "Yeah, let's do it," and Sharon's like, no, let's keep to the plan. Sharon just went, "Girl, go get it." And she told me to do the full straight. And I was like, woohoo! So
that's not like Sharon.
No, it's not like Sharon at all. And I went for it and I stuck it and I scored this like PB pass, and ended up winning the trial.
Yeah, because over 2 trials you were way ahead.
Yeah.
And did it feel weird? Like, obviously it's not a team event, so it's just you. And at the time, we had a male spot with Andrew Houston. Yeah, you love Andrew.
I love Andrew so much.
So what did it feel like? It must have been so different. Like the training camps, it was you, Andrew, and Phil. That's
It was so funny. So obviously World Games is 2 DMT, 2 tumblers, and then acro gymnasts. Bearing in mind, never seen acro in my life.
Okay.
They are like a different species, those people. They're wonderful, but different species. So we were in the training hall, just me, Andrew, and Phil. We were beasting our training. We'd have to do like 3 of each pass. We'd go boom, 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 no fails, stick all of them, training done in like half an hour. And we would then just like wander over to the other training hall where the acro and the tumblers were, and they'd look at us like, "You done?" And we're like, "Yeah, breezed it, didn't we?"
Easy. All in a day.
Great. And we bounced off each other. Obviously, me and Andrew were like best friends, so it was great.
Did he help you? Because I know you went into the training camp before you left and went to Poland. The training camp, you still were having issues with your full, and you couldn't take off for it.
Yeah, so I think at the training camp it was okay, because I've got videos of me, like I said, just bashing them out. But it was
I think a couple of weeks before it, when we were at Scalabus, it wasn't there. And then you went into training camp not having it, but got it back at the training camp.
Right. Okay, so yeah, didn't have it at Scalabus, I remember that. Then got it back at the training camp, and then went to World Games and lost it again.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I'm not one for skill confusion at all, but full has just always been that skill. And I got videos where Phil had to just re-coach me how to do it, and he was probably panicked, and I was just there like, whoopsie.
Did you stress about it? Was there ever a stress, or were you just fine?
No, there would have been stress. Maybe I didn't show it too much. I probably showed it, let's be honest. But we got it back, and I competed it. So it was fine.
Yeah, and you made final.
I did make final.
Was that tough? Because at that competition, only 2 people didn't make final. Was that pressure not to be those 2 people?
Yeah, it was the balance of knowing like you don't want to go too hard with the tariff because there's that chance of crashing, but at the same time you've got to go high enough that you're not last. So we went with mediocre passes, but I ended up making it quite nicely, so it was fun.
And you came 5th?
So, Simon, I came 6th, remember, because I was cursed with that 6th place.
It was Andrew came 5th, sorry. Andrew came 5th, you came 6th.
Yeah.
And what did that whole competition feel like? Because obviously it's a multi-sport games where it's not just you going, it's sports from all over the UK and all over the world. How did it feel compared to the Europeans or Worlds?
I remember in terms of just the competition day and being on the competition floor, I think, the happiest I've ever been. And I felt no pressure. I was nervous at all going into that final, and I had no idea why. Like, who doesn't get nervous going into a World Games final? But I just enjoyed it all. And I remember, I think it was the American coach, after I finished, came 6th. He was like, "I didn't see you ever stop smiling. You're the only gymnast that looked like they were having fun." And I was like, I was having a great time.
That's the best thing, because if you don't enjoy it, then the whole experience will be a negative for you. So
yeah, and then the competition itself was so different, and like I said, it was only me and Andrew for the DMT, so that was weird, but it was just amazing being there with all the other sports. As much as we didn't see the other sports, we still got to, like, we went into the food hall where all the sports came together to eat lunch, and we were just looking like guessing what sport everyone did and all of this. It was great.
We always say in DMT that the World Games is our Olympics. Did it feel like that? Is that how it felt?
Yes and no. So there was, except for when we ate lunch, there was at no point where we were all together. So I had no idea who any other athletes were from Britain. But you still knew it was going on, and you still saw countries going around in their kits that weren't trampoline or gymnastics or whatever, and it was cool in that sense. And there were banners all over Poland about it. And so it was quite nice to walk around thinking I'm part of this event.
Yeah. So going after that, did it give you confidence? Did you feel like you were in a good place after that? Going towards the end of the year, going towards British and World Championships?
Yeah, at this point I was like on my high horse. I was loving life, and I'm thinking, I did world games, this is amazing, and I felt amazing. Yeah.
So British Championships, what happened at British Championships that year?
I won! I finally
Finally
won!
won. What did that feel like? That must have felt like elation and relief and everything.
Honestly, there's a video of me landing my final pass on YouTube, and I land it, and I don't even land it well. I land my full fall and take like 3 steps, but I knew it was enough. And I presented, and I just jumped on Tom, um, and he started crying. And then Mike Wood, one of the other coaches from Olga, came and gave me a hug, and I was just probably the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was just, because I wrote that down in my notes, that I remember that video. You wrapped your arms and legs around Tom after you landed your last pass. It was amazing.
It was just such a build, and it was starting to get to me psychologically, I think, that British is cursed. Like, I can't win British. So the fact that I'd broken the curse was just like, oh, amazing.
So you must have felt amazing going into Worlds then. Was Worlds your target was going to be, obviously, make a final?
Make final, yeah. I don't know if we wanted I probably secretly wanted a medal, but make a final was definitely the target. I would have been gutted if I didn't make it.
So we'll talk a little bit. Obviously, you did your prelims. They all went well. You made the final. Then the team final happens. The drama of the team final. So obviously, we've talked in other ones about, Phoebe getting a 0 pass. What did it feel like knowing, like, had you accepted that you weren't going to get a medal before you did your last pass in the team final?
Nah, not at all. Never accept it. And to be honest with you, I don't think I fully registered that she'd got a 0. I knew that something had gone on, but because I was up last, I didn't watch much of it, to be honest.
Okay.
We always have this tradition where if one of the Brits are competing, we stand there hand in hand and we watch. But I'm always, like I said, well, I'm not always last, but a lot of the time I'm last, so I can't focus too much, I say, in my head. And so I knew that she'd hit the side frame or something, but I was then like, well, Beth came and spoke to me. She's like, you've still got a job to do, you still need to hit this pass. So that was what I had to do.
And did that help you? Did Beth's talk help?
Yeah, for sure, because I think it was Beth at least, and she just kind of took me to the side and was like, don't focus on anything else, just do you. I was like, okay, I will.
So after you've done your pass and you stuck it, or you've done it really well, and you come off, is that when you realised that she had got a 0 pass?
Yeah, because I was there probably like, woohoo, and then the girls were just all sad-faced, and I was like, why? And then they told me, and I was like, oh. Did
you feel that deflation then?
It was obviously a deflation, like I was gutted, but there's no blame being put on anyone. It can happen to any one of us.
So when did you realise then that there was an inquiry and that it was going to change? Was it very quickly after?
I think it was the inquiry was quite quick. So it came up over the tannoy, and I, like usual, have no idea what's going on. And so someone explains to me that, Phoebe's being considered again. We were all stood there. We've got obviously the pictures, and we're all stood there hand in hand. And it couldn't have felt like a longer 30 seconds or however long it was. It's probably longer than that. It was horrendous, and I needed a wee because I just finished. I needed so you could see me there, like holding my toilet in, and it just went on and on and on, and we were nearly crying. And then suddenly that score came up, and celebrations around.
So that medal probably felt, probably one of the best medals you've got from that point of view.
Definitely the most dramatic. It was like I was in a movie.
What was the reaction? All tears and crying?
Yes, so many tears. And I remember the Portuguese girls, even though we just bumped them into third, they were like so happy for us. And I've just got a photo of Phoebe after we'd left the competition floor. She just collapsed in a heap on the floor, and she was like, oh my god.
So then you went into off that kind of excitement and probably emotional roller coaster, you went into the individual final. You were in 4th going into the final. Can you remember that?
No, but yeah.
And did you think at that stage that a medal was possible?
Yeah, I would have thought it, if I was in fourth, I would have probably had a bit of tariff left for the final and would have gone, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
What happened in the final?
That's a great question. Yes, I remember. So my previously done pass 1 was full and half pike, and then pass 3 was full and half straight, and I bent in on my full and half straight, so they counted it as pike. Obviously, that's then 0 tariff, and I knew at that point, no chance.
You moved down to 6th. What was that feeling like? I remember the footage of you and Tom sitting in the kiss and cry, and the feeling after it. Well, the face, you see the faces fall.
I remember sitting there, and they took forever to put up my score. And Clive, who was one of the brevet judges for Great Britain, he was doing difficulty, and they were all debating it on the judging panel, and I just before he'd put up his little red cross, he kind of looked over to me and Tom and just went, shook his head, and that's when we knew. So he held up the red cross, and yeah.
And was it an issue before? It was full and half pike and straight. Was it an issue before that?
I think, yeah, there's always been that slight differentiation in the shapes, because I still have it now. You watch videos of me now and I still will bend my leg or slightly pike in. They're never bolt straight. So we fully got rid of full and half pike from my passes now. We're not risking that again.
Ever again. So then obviously after that you've come down and you've got 2018 Europeans not long after that. Did you feel good going into that? Like, did you change your mindset afterwards, thinking, not going to let that happen again, need to change passes or whatever?
Would have definitely thought change passes, but there's no way I would have been thinking, oh, can't let that happen again, because I don't think like that. I that's in the past, you know. I've got something else to focus on now. And it would have been the case of, what can I do to make a final but still have something left for a final? That would have been the tactic, as well as not using a full enough pike.
Because you must have felt, you've just come off World Finalist, World Games Finalist. You must have felt, even though you might not want to say it, but you must have felt you had a really good chance at that Europeans.
Definitely a chance for a medal, but in no way, not even secretly, did I think I could win it.
Oh, really?
In my head, you know, Lena is number 1. Lena is by far the best. Like, I can't beat that girl. Well, yeah, then I did.
So on prelims day, you did your passes. Were you happy with the passes on prelims?
Yeah, they were. In my head, they were okay. The first pass, really out double pike was good. I would have liked to have stuck it, but you can't be picky. And then the Rudy out half Rudy tuck went out the box, so I was a bit like, not happy. But
and where did you finish prelims?
Well, I finished in first, and that is a nerve-wracking thing.
Did it feel, because that Europeans, the team after prelims were in first, the Great Britain team, and all 4 girls were in the top 5.
Yeah.
How did that? Yeah, you must have felt like you absolutely smashed it.
Oh, it was incredible. I just felt gutted for Caitlin and Phoebe, obviously, who had made a final but didn't get to compete. It was really horrible. And at the same time, I was looking at the scores thinking, I'm in first place, but I scored a 67. Like, that's not, it sounds bad, but that's not good. Like, how can you be in first place with a 67?
So going in after that, you've got the team final, and you're in first place. And obviously we know now that you came second behind the Russians?
Yeah.
How did that feel? Was that a disappointment? Even though it was one step up from the last Europeans?
It was gutting. We had it in our hearts that we wanted that gold so bad. And as soon as it didn't happen, I was marching off the competition floor and I cried. I couldn't wait until I got to the back hall. I cried there and then, and I felt really bad, because Ruth has spoken about it since. I don't know if she spoke about it yesterday in the interview, but it was her first ever competition for Britain, her first team final. She's there. She's just won a silver medal, like, incredible. And the rest of the team are crying.
Yeah, it was a bit, yeah. It's probably hard for her, but you have to see where you were coming off, the rest of the team, where you were coming off.
And she said that now, yeah.
So going into the individual final, did you feel then you had something to prove?
Yeah, that was one of the most nerve-wracking things, being in first place going into a final, and you've got all this pressure, and people are then telling you, you could win this. I'm like, no, I can't. Stop. And I just really had to focus on that typical Kirsty mindset of like, I'm just here to do my passes. Like, don't think about anything else. But at this point, for what is normally very easy for me, it became a challenge.
And like, how did that day feel when you woke up and everything? Did it all go to plan? Did you feel good when you woke up? Did you feel confident? Did you feel good?
I can't remember feeling not good. So
You must have
yeah, I must have been fine.
And when you went up on the podium and you were about to compete, like, what was it? Did you feel any weight on you, or did you feel nervous? What was it? I
felt very different to normal. I remember there was a guy who was tumbling to my right, and normally I'd kind of just be there like, oh, what's going on around me? But I couldn't even look at him. The fact that he was competing and he could put me off, and I was just like, no, I can't let anything distract me, and that's so not normal for me.
Yeah.
I was very nervous.
And how did the two passes go?
Oh my gosh, I stuck the first one, like, boom, no movement. I was like, I ain't moving. And I thought, wow, that was good, wasn't it? But I still didn't think I could win. I think at this point Lena had smashed a 36 or something, so she was in first place. And I thought, oh, well, I couldn't have done that pass any better, so I'll take it. And then I landed that second pass, stuck it again, stuck it with a fight though. I kind of felt myself going backwards, and I was like, squeeze.
Don't step.
Don't step. And I did it, and I just held it, and I thought, oh, and you could see Tom's face then just be like, oh my God, and you could see him like throw the mat down, like, oh yeah, she's won it. And yeah, I knew it. As soon as I landed, I knew it. It
was an emotional day. There's that famous picture of you and Tom like looking into each other's eyes going, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, what made it better was the fact that Ryan and yourself had won it earlier that day. Like, it was unbelievable. European champions.
Super Sunday, wasn't it?
Super Sunday, yeah.
And did you know that no one had won the European title before? Like the senior title before?
No, I probably might have known, but it wouldn't have been in my head. I wouldn't have thought, I could be the first Brit here. Like, not a clue.
Did you feel the enormity of it when you've done it? Did you feel like, that it's such a big thing to be a European champion? Or did it kick in later?
It kicked in when I got my phone afterwards, and I got all the messages through. And I was just like, I remember sitting waiting for my medal, and suddenly Caitlin and Phoebe came running over to me and just jumped on me, and I just was there in complete shock, like, what just happened?
I remember when the final score came up on the video, and you're just like, what? And Ruth's nearly like, they're going, you won.
Yeah. And what made it better was the Portuguese girls were there with me, and they were so happy for me, and even Lena in the background was being amazing. She's like clapping away. The fact that, I remember actually I landed and then was walking over to wait for my score, and I heard Jay in the audience be like, Kirsty, you've won. And I hadn't seen my score at this point, and I was like, really? And then suddenly it came up, and I was like, oh.
What did it feel like having Tom, your personal coach, with you on the floor at that point?
Oh my gosh, amazing. I'm so happy he was there to share it with me, because it's not just my achievement, it's his as well, and Sharon's as well, and all my coaches. So for him to experience it too, and to be holding the mat, amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Even I loved having me and Tom beside each other, because remember, they split us up. Like the gymnasts went one way and the coaches went another way.
Yeah.
And so when Ryan found out, we were split from our gymnasts, and so me and Tom were hugging each other and crying and like just being ridiculous. So after that, was it tough then after that, coming off that and then building back up to 2018 Worlds?
Yeah, we had a different game plan for that Worlds, and I kind of felt like I lost myself a bit, which sounds really weird. But we had a completely different game plan. I'd upped my tariff in terms of the prelims passes, because we had this doubt that I wasn't going to make in the individual final.
Yeah.
And we'd upped it, and I'd had loads of tears at training, and that's not a thing. And I remember Pete, in order to get me to do my passes, he made me this sticker chart, which we set this goal of, you know, sticking loads of stickers on the chart every time I did a pass. But I didn't even complete the sticker chart. He was going to make me 3 of these sticker charts, because that's how many goals, like passes, we set ourselves. I didn't even get halfway through the first sticker chart. That's how little I managed at training. And I don't know what happened, because this is someone who normally hits all their passes all the time.
And do you think it maybe came from, I'm the European champion, I have to make the final, and you couldn't leave any room for not making the final?
Maybe subconsciously. In no way was that my thought process, but Tom mentioned it to me. He said that exact thing. He's like, this is probably what's going on. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, that's not me. But it must have been.
Did you search out a sports psychologist or anything like that to help you with it, or did you just talk through it with people?
No. At the time, I was a sports psychologist. So I was doing my placement in sports psychology. But I didn't think to then just, you know, ask my boss what was going wrong.
So we won't dwell too much, but at the end of that year, after coming such an amazing 2018, you didn't make the final, and then but scores from Europeans and stuff counted, and you made the Worlds, and then Worlds 23rd place. So kind of coming off such a big thing, was that a big learning curve for you? Yeah,
it hit hard. I had quite a lot of things going on in like personal life that year, and I still look back at it as like a horrendous year. You
were very sick in the summer and everything, weren't you?
Yeah. So it wasn't great, and then I hit the side frame in the first pass in the World's prelims, and I was just like, well, I'm done.
Yeah, I think for all of us, because like I said, no girls made the final that year, so like we just pretend that year didn't happen.
Yeah, I've erased that one from the memory.
Yeah. So then after coming into the beginning of 2019, you had to have surgery. What happened there?
Oh, that was a horrendous time. So I come back from Worlds 2018, obviously gutted with my result. Then went to a university competition. Did was trampolining and landed on the side frame, just doing a Rudy. Like, I wasn't even going mad. Landed on the side frame, hurt my knee, but didn't think much of it. And then a month went by and it was still hurting, and another month went by and I thought, right, I should probably get this looked at. Had an MRI, they didn't find anything. You know, tried to carry on training but physically couldn't. Had another MRI, they didn't find anything. And eventually they figured out that I'd torn my meniscus. So bearing in mind, I did this in November. I didn't have surgery till June.
Oh, wow.
And I was at the point, like, I didn't find out I needed surgery till the end of May, and it was a quick turnaround, thank God. But it was from November to May, they didn't know what was wrong with my knee. And so I had this psychological game of, am I faking it? Am I a wuss? Like, why can't I train? This isn't me. Yeah, then they found it.
But then coming towards the end of the year, had you ruled out at that stage British and Worlds and everything? No?
I think everyone else had, but I was like, I'm getting back. You know, that I'm going to Worlds. And Tom was always like, no, you got to think about what happens if you don't. And I was like, no, Tom, shh, I'm going.
In all the conversations we were having, we were going, and we were looking at, because we always look at the scenario of what the team might be, and a lot of time we're going, okay, Kirsty probably won't be ready, so this will be the team probably. So then going into British, did you have a good build-up?
I had a quick build-up. I'd only been training for like a month.
Yeah, and you got a wild card to compete at the British.
Yes, I got wild carded in, thank goodness. I had about a month's worth of training, and I obviously didn't have anywhere near my usual passes back. And Tom was just there like, do what you can, see what happens, what will be, will be.
And how did British go?
I won it. Did I win it? Yeah, I won it.
Yes, you definitely won it.
Yeah.
You hit what scores?
I hit the world score. I only just hit it, mind. I got 68 dead, I think. 68.5.
68.5, and you need 68.3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I managed it, but I wasn't proud. I wasn't proud of my performance. Like, it was pretty naff, but I won somehow, unbelievably. yeah.
Do you think that like that was your experience and stuff coming in that was able to get you ready that quickly?
I think so. I think for me, the passes we had were easy. I could do them in my sleep. Whether or not I actually are that easy for me, I don't know. But for me, they were. So to Tom to just tell me, "Oh, these are the passes, do them," I was like, "Okay, I haven't had just surgery. Like just had surgery, I'll do it."
So going into Japan, you've traveled to Japan, everything like that, and videos are starting to come out of your training sessions, and you're looking the best I've probably ever seen you look after surgery on your knee and not competing in training most of the year. So did that feel like your year?
Yeah, I felt good going into that world. I felt ready. Everything suddenly looked a lot neater than it usually did. You're like, yes, I know. I was higher for some reason. I think I probably went to town with the rehab and the strength, and I was thinner as well, so that made things easier, and I felt good.
Yeah. So then you went into the team final in second place, 0.1 behind the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
This time, was like Europeans that time you wanted to win? Was this your thing? We're going to win this team final, finally.
I'm trying to think about it now. Oh yeah, we wanted to win. But it didn't happen, did it?
How was that feeling afterwards?
Different. It wasn't like a crying. We weren't sad.
Yeah.
We were just frustrated. By this point, this is the third time I'd got silver, and this is the second time I'd missed it by 0.1.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
And it was probably, you came second to 3 different countries. I think each time is a different country in first. So you're probably the most consistent country in the world with the most depth. So it must be tough. Is it tough, like, handling that disappointment, but also being really happy that you won a world medal?
Yeah. At the same time, I also had my final to look forward to. So I couldn't let too many emotions come into it. But I was gutted. And we all were. It was a very silent night in the team.
Do you feel, because obviously like Ruth was in it and that was her first world medal. As a team kind of captain, but not officially, do you feel like you need to hide your disappointment a little bit for people like that?
I should have hidden it better at Europeans. But by this point, Ruth knew what the goal was, and Ruth wanted that goal just as much as we did. So she was disappointed.
Okay.
So I didn't have to hide anything.
You're able to say.
Yeah.
So then going into finals, talk about finals day. Were you feeling good before it all started?
Yeah, right. So I'd had a mare that whole competition, really. Training was absolutely fine. And then in the warm-up for the prelims, I landed on my head.
Know that?
Did you not know that? So I was warming up my half and half straight pass, which is my go-to skill. That is, I can do that whenever I want. I love it. It's my favorite skill. And for some reason, I got lost and landed straight on my head, and obviously scared myself. I was crying, and the rest of the team are trying to make me feel better, but at the same time, they've got their own performance to do. So that didn't really go well, and you can see it in my prelims pass that I hold back on that skill, and that's why it got kind of spiked. Okay. But so I already had that in the back of my mind. But finals, same thing happened again, except I warmed up, was feeling great. I was there to win it. I was ready. I mean, other than the fact that Lena was smashing these high tariff passes, I was like, nah, I'm going for her. And I'd finished warming up. I'd sat down, ready for them to call march in, and I thought, actually, I've been sat down for about 10 minutes. I should probably run at the DMT again. So Tom gets up, holds the mat. I run up to the DMT, just go to take off for like a half-out pike, nothing extravagant, and my ankle rolls. And so obviously everyone panics at this point. I know that I'm sat there, I faint pretty much from the pain / the fear. Alan, the physio, straps up my ankle. They say, like, do you think you can compete? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We march out, I'm limping, but I think I've got a job to do. I manage my 2-touch out the front, and I can't run. And then I complete my first pass, crank it on the landing. You see it in the video. I'm in pain. Yeah. I then get told by the doctor and the physio, don't do your second pass. And at this point, I'm thinking, there's no way I'm in a world final. I'm not pulling out. Like, the regret will live with me forever.
And at that point, do you have the final say? Like, the team doctors and team physios, they can't overrule you?
No one was going to overrule me at this point. Even Tom didn't want me to do it. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm not going to do the planned pass because I had a Rudy out mount. There was no way I was running at the speed I needed for a Rudy out mount. So we downgraded to like a 5.2 tariff. And you know what happened? I landed in
Yeah, I remember. I was in the audience, and I remember when you stood at the end of the track, because I knew it was your turn, and then you got up, and I went, why is she going again? She can't go again. Why is she going again? And you went, and obviously that happened. Now, it's one of those things, no one was going to stop you doing it.
Nope.
And it just, and so.
I don't regret it to this day, not at all. I would rather suffer admittedly the injury is getting quite annoying now, but I'd rather suffer an injury than have that regret of knowing I pulled out of a world final. And
so what damage did you actually do?
Again, they couldn't find it, and that's a long story. But long story short, after a few MRIs, they thought it was just ligament damage. It turns out I'd ruptured 3 of my ankle ligaments, and on the other side of my ankle, there's this little thing called a retinaculum that holds your muscle in place. That had ripped off, so my muscle in my calf had twanged over my ankle bone and was just sat in the completely wrong place. So my muscle was pretty much non-existent, and this was an extremely rare injury. There was only 6 reported cases in history.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So no wonder they didn't know what they were doing. But yeah, then I had surgery, and here we are.
So when you had surgery, did that rule out the Europeans that were supposed to be in 2020?
Yeah, it did. There was no chance I was getting back for it. And
how was that feeling of knowing that you couldn't defend your title?
The title was less of an issue. I think defending a title was such a difficult thing to do. It was more the fact that I was certain the team are going to win gold this year. I know it, but I'm not going to be in it. And I've waited, however, 5 years for that team gold, and they're going to do it without me.
Oh, God.
I was gutted.
Fear of missing out at its most extreme.
Yeah, and not even like jealousy. It was just like, I know they're capable of doing it without me, but I want to be there. I want to win that gold.
But when you're part of that team and you're the longest serving member now, you want to be part of that winning thing. So not that you were happy, but are you a little bit relieved that you have this chance of maybe going to the Europeans next year? Yeah,
it's a bit of an interesting one. I'm quite smug about this whole situation because here I am sat in lockdown with an injury, so no one else can train and neither can I. And I couldn't have timed my injury better, and it's so selfish to say, but I don't know.
It's true though.
Yeah,
it means that you can recover while people aren't, progressing past you.
Yeah, and yes, it's moved to next year. I'm assuming they're going to hold a new trial, but I don't know. But who knows if I'm even going to be ready? This was a bigger surgery than last time, so I might not be ready by the trial. Who knows? And
what have they given you? Like how many months or a year, whatever they have to give you before you can get back on the double mini?
So they said 12 weeks originally, but I think that was 12 weeks to get back to a normal sport. This isn't a normal sport.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's been 14 weeks and I'm still not running.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Well, like you said, you've got European, is just under a year away. So you've got plenty of time. You've got that time now. And that's one of the good things about if we can get good things out of COVID-19 is that you've got this time to recover. You don't have to rush anything. You can really properly recover and then build up again.
Exactly, and I'm going to build up strong. I have to. My calf muscles are non-existent now, so I need to build them up.
So going forward, is World Games another goal of yours?
Oh yeah, of course it is. But there's a lot of competition for it. This one, I can't do a straddle jump dismount and make it this time. Now the girls have, chased me and pushing me, so it's anyone's game. We are going to need to hit it, and I'm going to need to hit big.
I think at this point, it's too close to call.
Yeah,
because he's going to be fit. He's going to get more skills. Because like we've 2 years out, likes of Maddie's coming up, Lucy Steele. We've got all the other girls. Caitlin will be back from injury. You know, it's just anyone's game at this point. It's going to be
not
fun.
looking forward to that. Oh no.
It's going to be fun for the coaches watching.
It's not going to be fun for us. You're going to see like war happening. We're all going to turn on each other. No, we're not. We're not.
So, looking back and all that, looking back on the whole career you've just talked about, what is the best moment of your career so far?
It's got to be Europeans 2018. It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it?
That was such an emotional day.
I've been at a lot of competitions and nothing has ever felt as special as that competition. Like, even, I've said this to a lot of people, before the finals day, it was an amazing week. It was just I loved that week. I loved the venue. I loved the organization. The team just got on, gelled so well, and it was just a special week. And it was just that coming together of the two titles on the Sunday was just and we'll always share that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
to share.
We're coming towards that. We're over time a bit, but I just want to ask you a couple more questions. So, looking back, you've had a lot of coaches over your career, okay? So pick out a couple of them and say the biggest impact that they've probably had on your career.
So Aaron, you know, I've got to thank Aaron for a lot of things. He made me into a semi-recognizable gymnast, and then he put me in touch with Olga, and that's probably the biggest impact anyone could ever have, really.
Yeah.
And then, oh God, but then Sharon as well. Sharon is like my mum. You know, she's not afraid to tell me off when I do something wrong, when my legs are bent, and I've got a lot to thank her for, because she taught me most of my skills that I have now, the big skills, and drilled some sense into me almost. Katrina was a lifesaver. She was there to coach me when Aaron left, and she got me to the world stage.
Yeah.
I can't thank her enough. And then Tom has obviously had the biggest impact on me, because he's not just my coach, he's my friend and all of that, and we've shared a lot. So.
Do you think Tom is more, because obviously when you get to your level, it's gone a little bit beyond technical and it's more about the emotional support. Would he be your biggest emotional support?
Yeah.
Of your coaches?
I mean, like I said earlier, Pete has always my emotional support, but Tom knows me better, I think, than anyone does, and we share the emotions together. Almost, it sounds a bit weird, but what I go through, he goes through. So yeah, emotional support.
Okay, so looking forward a little bit, we'll just talk briefly about the new code. Are you looking forward to the new code coming in? Ish?
Yes and no. I mean, me being me, I don't really understand it. But from what I've heard, I'm not excited. No, I like the fact you need 4 passes, because it pushes me to be a DMT gymnast. I don't want to prove myself with two passes.
It's one thing, I've said this to Ruth yesterday, it's interesting, is that it doesn't say you're only allowed 2 passes, it's just you're allowed to repeat. So would you maybe consider competing 4 different passes anyway, or do you think it would be probably not logical to do that? As
much as I would love to be able to train 4 passes, at the same time I'm in it to win it, and doing 4 passes is not logical, is it? Really? So I need to do two big passes, which is going to be very exciting. So that's a good element, you know. It's going to push me to produce some big stuff. But
what's going to be, I probably know the answer to this, but what are the 2 skills you'd like to compete in the future that you haven't competed yet?
Miller and full Rudy, you know this.
Obviously. So the 292s is going to come in the next cycle?
Maybe.
Possibly. Get that knee and calf and everything ready first.
Exactly.
Right, so you've done nearly everything in the sport. You've experienced so much. You've been on every stage that you can possibly be on, and won medals on nearly all of them. So, you know, you've done it all. What advice would you give to a gymnast coming through, a DMT gymnast coming through now? What's your biggest piece of advice to be successful?
I don't know whether it's advice, but you can't be afraid. And that's in terms of, you can't be afraid to take off the skills, but you also can't be afraid to just go out there and try and win it. Like, you're not going to win it unless you go for it. So just don't be afraid and just see what happens.
Have that belief that you can win.
Yeah, so like that self-belief is everything in the sport. And as much as I make out that I just let everything happen, I know what I want really, and I go out and I try and get it.
Good. But I think I will leave it there. That's a good place to finish it. Thanks very much, Kirsty. It's been amazing. And like I've said to all other girls, I know you all really well, but it's really interesting hearing different parts of your journey that I might be not aware of. And I think everyone will get something from it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I know I talk a lot, so sorry.
I think this is the longest one yet, but I think it's worth it.
Sorry.
So thanks very much. And I'm sure I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Yes, thank you, Simon. See you soon.
See you.